Good morning, everybody. If you're watching this video, you're interested in why you should not upgrade to the latest Anker firmware. Currently, right now, I am running, I want to say, out of band. Basically, if you look, there's my HPP plug unplugged from the home power panel, and of course, there's the other one right there. So we are currently not hooked into the HPP. Yes, we have normal UPSs because unfortunately the 10 millisecond that's advertised does not do that and is not well enough for computer equipment, even though advertised. We also got a couple of C1000s that are just piggybacked off the back of the Anker F3800s right now to draw while we make sun into power. Another thing that should be something we should set, I'm going to advertise it as a UPS. Let's make sure that we're not sitting at 100% all the time. The last firmware update at least stopped the annoying every single day telling me that, oh, we dropped it 1% and charged it to 100% again for you. So didn't need that alert every single day. Thank you, Anker, for removing that. Now we need to see something like we do for the F3800s when they're connected to the home power panel, that we can set our percentage to, say, I don't know, 80%, so that we're not running our batteries at 100% all the time. Tell me why that's not a good idea, but it makes total sense if you are actually using it as a UPS or trying to use it as a UPS as advertised, which again, somebody tell me that they're getting that 10 milliseconds that's advertised. Tell me that you're also getting 600 watts ever on those, or for that matter, any more than 1150 per output on these. I've maxed these out several times at 2300 using both XT60 ports. It may sound like a little thing, but it's all loss. It all goes to the loss. The fact that these are only about 83% efficient as they stand now, then we lose 50 watts per XT60 times 2. Now we're talking about 200 watts over time. This whole game of making money or beaming money from the sun is clearly something that takes over time, and that all adds up. So that's where we're at. So anyways, it's working now. We have no issues. I'm going to attach my other video showing where we're having problems where or maybe you've already seen it, and I'm going to just go ahead and do that now. So basically, I'm going to take my computer loads that I'm running right now and unplug them. This is dirty. We're not going to edit this video. We're just going to get it out right away. I've got those now sitting at nothing, and we are going to plug the home power panels. Currently right now, my breakers are off as they should be. You can see right now we got no registration of the power stations. Here we go. We're going to plug in one. We're going to hear the click for the first. Okay. Haven't turned on a breaker. You can hear the click on the HPP potentially. I talk a lot, so maybe you didn't hear it. Plug in the next one. Okay, so far you see we got the home power panel on. We got the home power panel on, and we're going to flip our breakers. Our on and off switches blinking as we would expect, or buttons, sorry. First breaker, second breaker, just like that. We should start AC coupling. So right now we're actually pulling in charge. This is actually pretty good. So sorry, because I'm set to 80% right now, you can see all of a sudden now we're taking power from the grid and power from the solar in combination to get us up to 80%. We're gonna let that run just so you can see. I may fast forward or speed up the video, or at least tell you, keep in mind it's about 4 minutes and 20 or so seconds since we started this. You could quick fast forward through to, we'll say, I'm gonna say this is gonna be about 10 minutes roughly to get to that 80% on the right, and on the other side we might be talking about I'm gonna say maybe twice that time. So these have been discharged and recharged recently, as you guys have all noticed by now. If you've had these for just more than a month or so, there's quite a bit of time where all of a sudden you look over and it's charging, and it's like at 80% or 75%, and all of a sudden you look over again and it starts like going up 1% like every minute or something, like it's calibrating or figuring out that the voltage on the batteries are getting closer to where they should be. And just kind of a little interesting the way it creeps up quickly like that. Lots of data out there in the app to be able to show. So as we're waiting here to watch a potential reset, which I don't expect you to see, because right now we are not AC coupling. Again, we are just bringing AC power in from the HPP, and we are also pulling in quite a bit of solar at the moment. So there are the numbers there for each XT60, and then you can see here where we're running about roughly right around 1,000. So really only pulling about maybe 1,000 from the grid right now, because the rest of it's coming in on solar. So here we go, we're up a couple percent on the one F3800. Again, at this point, all systems would be as expected, no issue. I didn't want to stop this video. Unfortunately, this is also the device that I have my Anker app on. So I'm not able to easily switch from the camera without keeping it contiguous. I just want to make sure there's clear that there's a whole video here with no tricks. Like I said, I'm just going to leave this raw. If you've watched it to this point, I decided I'll put my hand in front of the video for about 15 seconds, so it'll be easy to find my hand when it gets to the point where you just want to fast forward through this part. You can see and take my word for it that at this point that charging is not an issue. The other thing that doesn't seem to be an issue neither is if you're in actual UPS mode, where you're either your grid is down or you've turned off the 100 amp breaker from your main panel to your HPP. I think I got an extra P in there. HPP, sorry. All right. If you notice, that one display is shown to be so there's a couple of different things just to go over while we're talking and waiting here. So I've had this for about coming up on a year here, pretty quick. We've definitely gone through some interesting things. There's definitely been some improvements, some great things Anker has done, some things that are still lacking. I have solar trackers, so constantly pointing at the sun during the day automatically with a few actuators. It's a 2-axis, and at night, or as we're coming into the night at sunset, even after several hours after sunset in some cases, we will still get a little bit of voltage, and that voltage is enough to come up over the 12 volt, which then clicks the relays on for the XT60 connections, and then immediately click off again because there's really no amperage available, especially when you start talking about 48 volt arrays, upwards 54-ish, 55-ish in the winter. You're obviously in that voltage threshold that the Anker says, oh, I can do something with that. That's within the voltage range. Let me go ahead and click on my relays and let's see if we can draw power. Clicks on, and immediately it's just enough to draw that tiny little bit of amperage that's just about immeasurable there to pull. the relays click again, and then once the relays click again, they continue to just go in a cycle. Oh, there's the 12 volt again. Oh, let me kick on. Oh, not enough power, let me kick off. And I don't know, we don't need our relays clicking that many times on something that we're hoping to get over 5 years out of warranty, closer to 10 potentially, depending on how you built out your system, to be able to get to your ROI to where you can actually make money. Of course, that's if your electricity and everything stays the same. The other thing for you guys that are doing time of use or looking to do time of use, if you guys aren't got enough of a swing between your dollars, again, there's a couple YouTube videos out there right now, hopefully they'll make it better. Like 83% is what you're going to get once you pull it back off the battery. So when we start talking about 83%, that's a pretty serious number. Now you're going to see this guy, he's going to start AC coupling here on the right here pretty quick. As soon as he jumps a percentage, which I still don't understand why it's only 1%, if the loss is the same, or maybe even worse by jumping back and forth as much between coupling, charging, why wouldn't we charge 5% and then couple that 5%, AC couple that 5%, and then from there start the process over again? 1% seems not to really make a lot of sense. Maybe with very, very small loads, but when you're advertising something that can do 6,000 inverter, 12,000 RMS continuous, I would say that there's either a math that needs to be there to justify and recalculate time and how much percentage you should have based on your load or something to make that so this doesn't switch back and forth. I do have lots of other CT monitoring, current transformers in place on everything on this unit, on the main breaker, on all my separate breakers, and each my main panel and sub panel. And I use a product called Emporia, and have a lot of data for the last year to show how much power is actually coming from these, and that when we start talking about that 83%, that's just to make sure they're not advertising a number that's not truthful. So in some cases can actually be worse, especially when you start talking about just the fact that each one of these use about 2 kilowatt hours of power roughly a day each, just to kind of sit here on the floor and be in a standby mode and ready to switch to UPS, which again is advertised of 20 millisecond, which is much worse than that in load. I mean, I would say I've seen upwards of a second or better. If you happen to be AC coupling right when it happens, say you're running solar and you're running power at that moment, AC coupling back into your panels, then it seems to be a little bit closer to that 10 millisecond. But if it has to actually switch to AC coupling basically in the moment, you're sitting there in the middle of the night, you're not feeding any solar, then you may definitely see much longer times. If you're anywhere over that 500, 600, 800 watts in inverter, no problem. Again, that would be not even a sixth or a fifth of what's been advertised, and can't get that 10 milliseconds as advertised. I could have swore I had that set at 80. Now I'm thinking I must have it set at a higher number. I wish Anker, when you add an extra user or log in as a user, you could have multiple users logged in, maybe with 2-factor or something, so that we could have the same user logged in more than once. Echo. Drop into Mom's Echo Show. Again, I wanted to keep this video contiguous, so I'm going to a lifeline get me logged into the Anker app here so that I can adjust the slider. It must be up a little higher. Again, I've been playing a lot of games the last couple of days because it's not all automatic because the AC coupling has been broken. Hey, can I get somebody to please run down and grab my iPad, please, and get me logged into the Anker? I'm shooting this video and I want it to be contiguous. Could one of you, maybe Katie or somebody, come down and grab this real quick? And I want to get logged into the Anker on here because I don't want to change my phone. My wonderful wife is coming down to grab my tablet. We don't use passwords that you can remember. That sounds ridiculous to some people, but it's actually a whole lot more secure. So she's going to be nice enough to get me logged into my tablet instead of my phone, which of course will kick me off my phone, but at least we'll be able to see where the slider's at, and I can give you guys a little bit of preview on that, and then we can go, oh, there we go. Check her out. We got a reset, you see it? So the one on the left just totally reset, and you can see it's pretty quick. It's already starting to bring up the solar, and boom, there we are. We're basically coming up here. You can see the top, very top one, 7, the one second from the bottom, the third one. They're slowly ramping up. Those are the top one and the third one are the left F3800. And it looks like there's a lot going on in there. Just to be clear, there's a couple of diodes. There's some relays to help with that click of death I was telling you about for the solar, which by the way has been also verified to happen on the stock portable PS400 panels. So this hasn't got anything to do with how much wiring or what this nerd's got going on. All that could be nixed. Those are just basically, it's good to know, because the other thing we see a lot is we drop into that lower voltage, or cloud goes behind the sun for a little bit, and or the sun goes behind the cloud. That'd be a cool thing to see, or not to see. Yep, the clouds come in and boom, all of a sudden we'll drop voltage, and the amperage will stay like almost to its highest. So now all of a sudden, like, we're saying 28 amps, we're saying 12 volts, but there's more out there if they would just back off the MPPT a little bit and see that obviously the voltage would go up and there's more power there to be drawn. Lost, I don't know how much power to that little snafu. So between that and the loss of 50 watts, 200 watts per. All right, here we go. Thank you very much. Say hi.
Hi, you're welcome.
Thank you. All right, so baby steps. She doesn't like to be on video, so we'll start with a high and we'll work our way that direction. So if we look at self-consumption, honey, I need to actually be logged in as the other account. Here's where we talked about where you can't, unfortunately, get to I'm sorry to not clarify that. Yeah, this is what I was telling everybody about, that unfortunately you can't look at the devices. You can't this is not available because this is like a read-only user. So we'll get logged into the right one here. That allows us to see that and change it. Yeah, we'd expect that one on the right to be pulling some power in. I'm wondering if in a earlier some firmware here they've maybe changed. I mean, you can see the one on the left. These are pretty well balanced. Like I said, we're pointing at the sun automatically, like every 5 minutes, and that's all done automatically with some sensors out in the side. Maybe take a quick glance out there when we're done here, just so you guys see what I'm talking about. But between the 4 of these, like I said, if you take these numbers and of course times them by each other, you'll get the wattage. You'll find that we're all within like about 50 watts of each other. And you can see now it looks like potentially we're doing about 800 watts or so of flower based on that second number, 1549. And then this one's running that 1549-ish plus the difference from the grid. So it's kind of interesting. It's almost like, for whatever reason, we're not pushing power back right now. That's why I can't wait to see. So maybe they've changed it. Like after 80%, we're only going to take solar in. We won't bring stuff in via the grid. Power invert. By the way, too, if you listen to this video, so I'm kind of looking for somebody to take my ramble and kind of put it into English, especially when it comes to getting it put down to paper. Done a little bit of playing with AI. Maybe AI will do it, but maybe somebody else that's spent a lot of time that's out here doing a bunch of free work here might, for the manufacturer with all this data we provide all the time on their group and stuff, that might want to take some of that and actually turn it into something. So, okay, so I'm going to look under standard consumption. So this is, or self-consumption. It's pretty interesting. So I am at 80/20, and for whatever reason, I don't know exactly why at the moment this is different from the last time I had it hooked up. Let's just pull this down. Maybe there's a value in there or something. I just told it, let's go ahead and dump to 75. Let's see if that second inverter starts to pull back. That's really curious. Now, I will tell you something I forgot to do that you guys saw me do too, that may or may not be part of what happened here, is I did not turn off the AC outlets on the side before I plugged in the HPP, which is something that I typically do and have done the last couple days. I was shooting video and kind of showing you guys what we're seeing here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off these, and then I'm going to cut the solar for a minute. All right, now you see there we are at resting, no use, no input. Okay, and then I'm just I already powered off or flipped off my blue breakers. Now I'm going to unplug my HPP again. You're going to hear the click, okay, when you unplug the last one. Okay, and now that we have done that, I'm going to go ahead and just power cycle these, because I'm sure I was asked, did you power cycle? Yes, we power cycled. It doesn't change anything. Turn this one off. Okay, we'll come back over here. We'll turn this one back on. Just a hunch on the whole, oops. And if you noticed earlier when it rebooted, we did not hear that beep. I'm pretty sure that's for the batteries, that beep. So you might hear quite a few of those. You got a couple more batteries. They might somewhat be in sequence, but. Okay, so now we're started back up again. All right, we're gonna plug in our HPP. All right, got that one plugged in. Heard the click on the HPP, registered for the first. It's always the first and last one to do that. Pretty sure that's switching some relays to get ready for some UPS All right, so now we're gonna turn on our solar. Still don't see us pulling down. That is uber interesting that we have set this. We should be bleeding down now. Let's move this down again. That's super weird. Just not even do solar for a moment. Let's just see if we can get some battery. Wow, that's pretty interesting. So, makes me wonder if Anker has changed something to stop that from happening, because I could see where they could maybe from the app control and stop that from happening while we wait for people to update their firmware. So if we happen to be on this firmware, that would have been an awesome email. Again, not saying that's what happened, but as of yesterday, this was not behaving this way. Let's see, we'll try to do time of use instead and see what happens. Gotta make sure. Let's see here. Time of use. We're in April, June. Peak is 9 o'clock. April, June. Peak should be 9 to 5. We're getting nothing. That's very peculiar. Okay, I'm guessing Anker must know that this is an issue then now. Be my guess. Let's see here. Okay guys, I forgot to turn on my breakers. So that means with the HPP plugged in, we can, we're gonna get it now. I don't even need it to, I wanna turn on the solar because I'd like to, you know, again, we're trying to make pennies over time here. So go ahead and kick that on. All right. All right, so now we're sitting here running and we'll start pulling down, and you can see we're slowly bringing up our solar, and we are AC coupling right now. So I would expect here soon that you guys will see. So very important to notate that even having the HPP plugged in with the blue breakers off, very important. Just having the HPP plug in, the F3800 show that they're registering the HPP little icon that you're plugged in there in the real lower right hand corner there, is enough without even coupling actually happening to get them to reset when they think they're supposed to be coupling. So that's with the blue breakers off. So I'm going to go back to my self-consumption, and I'm going to put this back at like, I used to like to hover around 70% or so. So you heard maybe another couple of relays there. We're continuing to, basically that box watches for a minute and a half that the voltage is good before it starts to draw. Again, that's supposed to help with that click of death. So a lot of, I still want to keep this raw. I'm a little embarrassed about the fact that I forgot about those blue switches, but then like I said, I'm glad I showed you guys that because I did see that as well. So if it thinks it should be AC coupling, not even that it's happening at the moment, and the blue breakers are off, that is still enough to cause a reset like you guys saw. So now we're set. It's kind of hard to get this, like, I don't know, my big fingers or something. To this exact where you want it. I find out sometimes just kind of trying to tap it where you want it. Okay, so again, I apologize, Anker, for that. I guess we had not done anything where we've stopped the reboots temporarily via an app setting or forcing you to be doing something, maybe stop something that may or may not be a bigger issue if it continues. I think it's more probably wear on the equipment than it is a safety issue. So again, deepest apologies for that. But when you got boxes that are sitting right next to each other, or F3800s and an ad sitting right next to each other, that you cannot do with these plugs. Marketing, different things, making it look like you can do this, that, and the other. Supposed to get 2400 watts per inverter, and we're not doing that. Like I said, I mean, you add up all the equipment I have. That's substantial when you're beaming money from the sky, trying to get your monies back, and hopefully creating more than just an ROI, but a savings after the fact. You know, a lot of us are in a boat that we're, even if you built a system yourself, you might be 8-10 years into an ROI, depending on where you live, and these other things, and this constant, you know, working out different challenges that really shouldn't exist, all add up in time and end up being more of a hobby than what this was originally intended. Don't get me wrong, I'm a geek and I like stuff, but once we've got it hooked up and we've kind of figured things out, we've played with it for a couple of weeks, sadly it goes on a shelf, it gets given away, or it just gets left to where it needs to be, and just hoping for it to do what it was advertised to do. Okay, so we're AC coupling right now, as you can see, on both units. We're making plenty of power. We're making more solar than we're currently using. And we're just kind of waiting here, and eventually we're going to see a reboot. And again, you'll notice when the reboot happens, notice you didn't hear the beeps like you did when I power cycled them. I'll also provide a link to the current Facebook group that we originally reported this in, and there's many others that are witnessing and seeing the same challenge that we all face since the firmware update. And those are, again, let's see here. These right here. So it was that F3800 version 2.26 is what was applied. 2.2.6. 2.2.6. When all this started, just a few days ago. Some have reported it's weird, like all of a sudden, like, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes will go by, and then all of a sudden I'll do it 2 or 3 times, 4 times, and then I won't do it for a while. And some are reporting they don't think it's happening, but like I said, unless you're sitting here and you don't have a bunch of noise going on, you see I'm sitting in my basement, give you a quick view, just in case you're wondering. But in the basement, which I know get a little bit more echoing, a little bit more sound bouncing off the back wall here and stuff, easy to hear the clicks. All right, we're 35 minutes into this. Sorry for the long video again, but hopefully somebody at Anker can watch this and figure out what's going on quickly and get us fixed. Maybe hook us up with our 50 watts XT60 connection that is advertised. Today we're not doing it. I've had a couple different revisions of how I've brought the power. I'm trying to just kind of figure some stuff out. I've even used buck converters and some stuff. You guys look at the Facebook group, you can see where I've got plenty of time where I'm showing, like, right now, if we could accept just a little bit more voltage on these units, we would easily be making at least 2200 a inverter today. We got a little bit of cloud cover. It's also interesting, right? I mean, it's going to take 6.6 hours to recharge 15% with one extra battery, 7 hours. And look at, we got 500 almost extra watts. Like, we're talking about some serious loss from efficiency. And I heard some rumors that there's the F3800 Plus, which seems to do some things better. Juliet Rue asked me if I wanted one, and then she wanted to know where my video is, so I'm gonna go ahead and publish this to her. Hopefully that's enough to get a couple of them out here. I'm gonna make also a call out to my buddy Ben Sahlstrom. You need to definitely check out his videos. Benjamin Sahlstrom. He's got some pretty awesome videos. He's the one that's encouraged me to take some of my own videos and post them and show people the stuff that I'm nerding out over. So thank him and congratulate both of them on their new coming. Just had a baby boy. Congratulations again, Ben. And to his wife, of course, and family. Here we go, about 375 watts. That's going to take 13.7 hours to top off 15%. This one's 25%. It's going to take 12.7 hours. This one's down at 12.3 now. 12.8, 13.2. Still hovering around 1250 output. Like I said, we got some clouds rolling through, so it's a little bit thing, but that seems like a whole lot of time for that difference there. And then with, yeah, sorry, I don't have it plugged in that way. I was gonna say, and then there's at least a 50 or so watts that we lose between some pretty hefty cables. Pretty sure they are 12 gauge. They are no more than 10 feet And when they were plugged in directly to the F3800s, they have between what the Anker C1000s say and what was being drawn is about a 50 or so watt difference. So I mean, all this adds up. Just want to get at least another reset in there for you guys. Saw a deal on third-party batteries that was posted. I also posted on my Facebook group. And basically, kind of interesting. Gentleman, I can't think of his name right now, should give credit to. It is definitely that way on the group. We've published his video. Has come up with the fact that it makes sense that you can check and see voltage on your battery connections or your last battery connection in chain. And there's been some discussion. Don't think there's any relays or anything there that would stop anything. People are asking, well, if we put more batteries on it, you know, how will that help? I would say it's most important that if you have more than one battery on your standard F3800 or OG F3800s, that, you know, you're not going to be able to do more than I think it's about I don't want to lie now, sorry. I know that there's, I don't have the numbers, so I'm going to leave the numbers out, but it's substantial. So like if you're AC coupling with one F3800 with no batteries, you can do only so much watts. You throw another battery at it, you can do like 3,000 watts. You cannot get that 3,000 watts without at least one battery. And that was kind of like not really in the fine print. Some of us found out after and ended up ordering batteries we didn't expect we were going to. Try to get closer to outputting at least what we were going to input for solar. Especially when you're talking about, I mean, I can show you data upon data where from 2 hours after sunrise and 2 hours sunset, before sunset, I'm at 4,300 that whole time, just bzzz, making power. And going back to those batteries is when you start talking about the 3,000 watts versus lesser, is that whatever you were going to use to potentially add third-party batteries to this, you would want to account for the gauge and whatnot, and realize that it's basically like chaining a bunch of batteries together in parallel. And the fact that there's no smarts between the plug and the battery. I think that really comes to when you're starting to get to that, you want that 3000 watts, is you need that first battery to basically unlock. I think that's what I haven't really heard anybody talk about yet, is you're going to need to be able to unlock that 3000 output with a battery. And then at that point, yeah, you're not going to see the batteries. But based on what the guy showed as far as percentage and battery availability and everything, based on the draws and the way that it appears that the voltage is how they come up with the percentage, which would make sense why I talked about earlier in the video, where you may not have charged them for a while completely to 100%, and you get over that 75-80%, and all of a sudden it starts creeping up real quick if you're either plugged into the wall or if you're charging enough solar that amounts to something, I would say, over 500-600, maybe 1,000 watts per F3800. You can see that quick jump. And I say quick based on the fact that, it was taking, maybe 5-10 minutes to move a percentage, and now all of a sudden we're moving a percentage every minute or whatever until we get to 100%. Some of you guys make comments below, shoot holes through it. Might have something to do with battery chemistry and a whole lot of other things, not necessarily just to pick on Anker. And again, I know we're talking about firmware update that didn't play out here and everything. This is all still super awesome. Originally, I was looking at maybe an APC 240, big boy Symmetra or whatever that, those are definitely not cheap, more expensive than what this equipment came in, and use the old-fashioned batteries like those traditional UPSs over there that I still have to have because of the 10 millisecond does things. So that was an extra about $3,000 that was spent because of the fact that the advertised 10 millisecond does not work on these devices as advertised. At least not at any load above a few thousand watts, which is way under what obviously two of these can do together. So that was another expense. Unfortunately, that was an after deal that had to happen based on advertisement that does not seem to line up with what it says it does and the final outcome. Trying to say it nicely and not sure how else to say it nicely except for the fact that we were told one thing and that's not what happens. Be interested in knowing what change control or whatnot that Anker uses to make sure that we don't have these kind of firmware problems. The awkward moment where you're waiting for something to fail because you'll be happy that it failed so you can get it on video again, when we really just want it to work. That awkwardness. Yeah, I mean, look at here. We got over 400 watts. It says it's going to take 7 point, here, again with the clouds here today, but just look at those output numbers versus the input, subtracting the two of those apart from each other. I mean, we're talking enough that it shouldn't take no 11 hours to do that, 12 hours. There's about 400 and some. 400 watts should definitely not take 9 hours to get us topped off 15%, 16%. I will say though, out of everything I looked at out there, these guys really do have some sweet hardware. You know, everybody's got their cool niche and their different things. EcoFlow's got, you know, their breakers that you can control from the app, and, you know, there is no AC coupling, but it does do where you can, you know, be either on and off grid and set some different parameters to decide when that is and isn't, which is kind of cool, which is, by the way, another thing that I thought was going to be the case with this. It wasn't very clear when I bought this back early last year, around April, about that. Matter of fact, you look at Ben's video, like right in his video, he's like, what's going on here? We all thought that it was just going to be AC coupling to the or providing power to the critical panel only. To find out later, you kind of really don't need a critical panel unless you are big on the UPS feature, which we were, and we're very excited about the fact that 20 milliseconds would have been just fine for pretty much all computer equipment. And then again found out that that unfortunately is not the case, and it's not enough to keep everything on. So unfortunately, when it would cut over, if it's not currently AC coupling, like I said, it's horrible. It's, I mean, compared to 20 milliseconds, it's, I mean, we've seen it up over a second, no problem. Oh, there you go. Now you've seen both of them do it. You've seen one do it with the blue breakers off and just being plugged into the HPP. And there we go again. You heard all the clicks. Solar's going to kick up pretty quick. So like I said, there's like one or two people who are like, oh, I haven't seen it happen. Well, it's pretty darn quick. I mean, the reboot itself is seconds. You don't hear the beep like you noticed again. And the time that it takes to bring up the solar back, you know, unless you're watching it that closely, you're just not even going to notice that. So you're going to hear those couple of clicks pretty quickly, and things are just going to go right back and running again. So again, I don't think it's a safety issue unless it starts doing it quite rapidly a lot, but we really want at least back to where we were, even if it is still, I won't loosely use the word, I guess, falsely advertised. We at least want to get back to there. So you guys, I think, have seen enough of that part. I'm gonna take you guys for a quick, just outside really quick, so you could see the panels. So hold on a second, here we go. So just like I was just telling everybody, so you can see and why those inputs are pretty much right identical. There you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each one of those go to an XT60 and are currently set up in a P2S2 ×2. So they are really 8 arrays coming in, and then they hit those diodes to keep everything separated. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry to those that have already applied the firmware. Hopefully keep a few of you from doing it until Anker corrects the issue and gets us back on our way. Maybe they can answer some of those other questions. You guys be safe. Have a great weekend. Thank you.